2023.
Project number 13.
Introducing the Trigger version 2.1, the Automated Security Defense System. This is a system using third-generation concepts that can use secure our security with artificial intelligence that can do many tasks for our security. Yes, this is multifunctional defense system. Its weight is currently 5.21 kilograms, height is only 54 centimeters, length is only 57 centimeters and width is only 38 centimeters. That can launch 7 missiles in one reload. The trigger can fire approximately in range of 70 meters with good accuracy. The missiles have approximately 33.3 milliseconds -1 of speed at start. That can detect 80 plus different object classes and 600 plus different objects in each classes. With 20 FPS rate, the trigger can rotate 360 degrees using each X and Y axes. It can detect any motions with 60 FPS of high speed. The trigger can take down 10 objects in 14.6 seconds. Another good one is this system has night vision. What can do with the Trigger version 2.1? That is a security tunnel, like Turret, that can detect any objects user provided. If the user provided picture of a one person as target, the trigger will detect that person and auto-aim to that person and take action that user provided. This system has powerful AI with deep learning concepts. It can do few main things. It can detect any motions, detect objects, find distance to object, track the very important object to destroy, process all video captures with our powerful AI named Javis. Basically the Trigger is work as full automated gun with AI. Now you have the basics of the Trigger version 2.1. How to work that? Currently, the Trigger have 4 main functions in the software for Trigger that have 4 modes. Number 1 is mode of manual. Number 2 is mode of CCTV. Number 3 is mode of ADTF, auto detect targets and fire. And last one is mode of AI. I will explain how work the trigger in this each modes. First, I explain the components of the trigger and why use it. There have few main parts: radar, missiles launcher, motherboard and 2 cameras. Hello, Aya. Can you explain that? Our question is, in this system, we use the radar to detect objects and find distance. How to works the radar in the trigger?
Yes, I will give basic explain of that. Radar, which stands for radio detection and ranging, is a technology that uses radio waves to detect and locate objects. It has a wide range of applications, including military surveillance, air traffic control, weather monitoring, and automotive systems. Here's a general overview of how radar works. Transmitter. The radar system begins with a transmitter that generates radio waves. These waves are usually in the microwave or radio frequency range. The specific frequency depends on the application and desired characteristics of the radar system. Antenna. The transmitter sends the radio waves to an antenna, which then emits them into the surrounding space. The antenna's design and shape can vary depending on the radar system's requirements. Propagation. The emitted radio waves travel through the air at the speed of light. When these waves encounter an object, they interact with it in different ways based on the object's size, shape, and composition. Scattering. When radio waves encounter an object, they can be reflected, absorbed, or refracted. The amount and pattern of this interaction depend on the object's characteristics. Large, dense objects are more reflective than small, less dense ones. Echo reception. The radar system has a receiving antenna that captures the radio waves that are reflected back by objects in the environment. This reflection is known as an echo. The receiving antenna is often the same as the transmitting antenna, but radar systems can also use separate antennas for transmission and reception. Signal processing. The radar system processes the received signals to extract information about the detected objects. This involves analyzing the time delay between the transmitted signal and the received echo, as well as the signal's amplitude and phase. Range calculation. By measuring the time it takes for the radio waves to travel to the object and back, the radar system can calculate the distance to the object. This is known as range measurement. Doppler effect. Radar systems can also utilize the Doppler effect to determine the relative velocity between the radar system and the detected object. This information is crucial in applications such as weather radar and automotive radar. Display and analysis. The processed information is then displayed on a screen or used by a computer system for further analysis. This could include mapping the location of objects, tracking their movements, and identifying potential threats or targets. Radar systems can be categorized into various types, such as continuous wave radar, pulse radar, and frequency-modulated continuous wave (FMCW) radar, each with its own advantages and applications. The specific design and functionality of a radar system depend on its intended use, such as surveillance, navigation, or weather monitoring. Now you can get basics of radar system. Okay. Now I will provide how use radar to detect object and find distance in our application. There have transmitter and receiver for transmit radio waves and receive upcoming radio waves. This radar designed like as dialogue TV antenna. Yes, it is dish antenna. In that, this antenna can transmit and receive radio signals only one side. Like that picture. I will provide more information of our radar in upcoming videos. But you have some knowledge of that. Thank you. David.
Okay. She gave better explain for how radar systems work. Another part of the trigger is motherboard. This motherboard make with dotted board at home. Now you can see picture of motherboard in video. There have few components to fulfill the motherboard. I will name all components in video. There have ATmega 328P microcontroller, MCU, L298N motor controller IC, 5-volt relay module, CD4051 BEIC, 433 MHz transmitter module and Arduino Uno. With some outputs and inputs pins, this motherboard need 12-volt to 15-volt power. I use 13-volt power supply to power on the motherboard. After the power up, there have 2 power indicator lights to indicate the power up, with additional 7 process indicator lights. How the motherboard works with computer and missiles launcher. Okay. There are 433 MHz transmitter and receiver module to communicate with software in user's device. Always the device transmitting X and Y angles for rotate motors to track object. With command signals, the motherboard always transmitting all 2 camera outputs to device. That video must want to detect targets and tracking targets. In this case, Arduino Uno can process each angles and command signals that device transmitted. After process, that processed signals go to ATmega 328P microcontroller, MCU. In this controller, get how may time to on or off the each motors to get correct wanted angle to track target. These signals are go to the motor controller to control motors. Then the motherboard ATmega 328P microcontroller, MCU, has command signals. These signals go to the CD4051 BEIC. After processing these commands in that IC can control each missile's launch. The relay is currently not used in the trigger version 2.1 but it may want in the trigger version 2.2. That is basics of how the motherboard works with computer and missiles launcher.
Test with detections. Test with fluentures.